Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out with WBC Flyweight Champion of the World, Charlie Edwards. We're here in the 12x3 gym, or 12-3s gym in Paddington. How are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. The last 2 weeks have been so surreal and a bit crazy and mad. But yeah, I'm great. I'm no different to what I was when I stepped into that ring. I'm no different to what I was when I got beat off Casemiro. Listen, it's all a journey. This game, and I'm loving it. I'm loving my journey, and I'm enjoying it. And it's another step, and I'm really proud and overwhelmed with all the support and all the love I've got for winning this title. But reality is, for me, a boyhood dream has come true, becoming world champion. But I didn't just set out to become a world champion. I set out to become an elite fighter who wants to build a legacy, who wants to win more and more and more. I haven't hit my peak or my prime yet, so this is a stepping stone, and it's a very big stepping stone, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity and to actually achieve and set out to do what I knew I was capable of doing. I had a lot of doubters and a lot of people who didn't believe in me, but now I've turned them doubters into people who do, and that's only positive, and I'm looking forward to take the next steps, hopefully get unification fight, and then listen, I love this belt, and that will always cherish a massive part in my heart, but I'm that type of fighter who always thinks about what's next.
You're the second fighter, of course, from Croydon to win a world flyweight title, Duke McKenzie being the first. But you also, we talked about this on Twitter, I think. Yeah, you're the second fighter to win the WBC flyweight title from Britain as a whole. And he was also called Charlie, Charlie Magri. You said something on Twitter that you met him not long ago. Just tell us about that.
Well, when I first turned pro, obviously it was with Matchroom, and they was promoting me and we were running stories on me. And the first thing they done is they, thankfully, they invited Charlie Magri down to watch me train, to bring his WBC belt, and to take pictures with me and give me some words of advice and inspiration. And yeah, it's crazy now. We're here, Charlie as well, sitting here with a belt, and yeah, I've got to thank him a lot for his time that day. It really did inspire me. I remember having my hands on a WBC belt before even having a professional fight, and really thinking, oh, I want one of these that one day. And like I said, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, and everything happens for a reason, and that was a dream, one of the dreams of mine. I felt it. I had that feeling when I was looking at it, saying I want one of these, and I believed in it, and look, I've achieved it now. So it's been a long journey, but yeah, Charlie Magri was a big inspiration in my life, and he was such a great fighter. And yeah, I think I posted out the other day that I tweeted him and tagged him in it with a picture of me and him when I didn't have the belt, and now we've both got the belt. So I would love to get a picture with him and say thank you. And yeah, it was really good to meet him that day, and I look forward to meeting him again with the world title.
Obviously, your first world title shot, brave as it was, came up a little short against John Real Casemiro. What were the key differences between you back then and you with the Rosales fight? Why were you ready to win the world title this time round?
Obviously experience comes into it, but I think I got caught up in the hype, and I was doing things for the wrong reason. I just wanted to be in the limelight, be famous. I think I probably was a bit flash and a bit cocky back then, and reality is that isn't me as a person, and I was putting this persona in front on all for the build up in social media and things like that, and I wasn't good enough, and I got beat, and I learnt valuable lessons. But I don't regret taking that fight, because that fight again was a part of the journey to becoming the dream, and it made me realise what I had to do, who I had to surround myself, what I really had to do in the boxing world and outside of the boxing game, living my lifestyles, and all that experience going away fighting world championship fighters and getting that hard sparring, nitty gritty, feeling very uncomfortable in circumstances and pushing my own mental boundaries through that and getting back in and back in until it got me comfortable. That's why this time I was ready. And like I said before, I spoke to you the Kell Brook fight 2 weeks before, and I knew it was my time, and my time starts now. But like I said, this is only the beginning of my time. I'm ready to reign supreme.
How much credit for the improvement goes to your trainer Grant Smith, and also in a smaller amount perhaps to Adam Booth, who you worked with previous to Grant?
Yeah, massively. Well, when I left Marbella and I went to Adam Booth's gym, I learned a real lot, and Adam was a very good mentor. He got in my mental psyche and made me get comfortable in the uncomfortable situations. I was sparring Ryan Burnett week in, week out, and I remember when I first was going into sparring, and Adam was joking with me before that. He was like, "You're sparring Ryan tomorrow," and I was like, "Oh, hopefully he don't bash me up," like all jokey and that. But really, there was some realness behind it. Adam called me in the office and went, "Look, Charlie, don't put pressure on yourself. Go in there every day. If it's going to get you better and you feel like you're uncomfortable, you'll learn and you'll develop from these situations." And it was right. It was right. And then I carried on sparring Ryan for so long, and he used to really put it on me. And we had some great competitive spars. And I owe a lot to Ryan as well, because he toughened me up. But then Adam said to me, when I said, "Thank you for everything," he went, "Charlie, listen, you want to thank yourself. You was the one getting in that ropes. You was getting in there, and you was the one keep coming back for more, and you toughened yourself up." And me and Adam parted on very good terms, very good friend of mine, and learnt a hell of a lot there. But then when I went to Grant Smith, in Adam Booth's gym, like, there was Ryan Burnett, Josh Kelly, Michael Conlon. Reality is, they are unbelievable fighters. And the way my career was going, the fights I wasn't getting, I kept falling through, they were more important at the time. And they are more important at the time because they're unbelievable fighters, and that's the way of the world. And I just felt like I needed to step back, reevaluate, and going with Grant Smith was the best thing I ever done, because he's cherished me, made me feel like I loved fighter. He stripped me back to basics, and he's an ultimate technician and a perfectionist. And every little bad habit that I developed over the time, he's taken out of me. And I'm not going wide with my shots. I'm not taking risks when I don't need to. I'm boxing like a proper professional elite fighter, where you don't take risks, you don't give opportunities away, and you take the opportunities when they come. You don't force nothing. And the big thing with me is, everyone used to think I had good footwork, but reality was I had fast footwork. I was a bit unbalanced at times, and I would react to things and be a bit unorthodox, where Grant stripped my footwork back, and we done these footwork drills time and time again. And it got to the point when I first got there, I really thought I was rubbish. I had little kids, like 11-year-olds, showing me up on footwork drills, and I was thinking, whoa, I need to get my head. And over time, I'm the ultimate professional. I just stick at it, keep listening, keep learning, day in, day out. And you see in the Anthony Nelson fight, the major difference. Everyone said I wasn't a puncher. I think that goes to prove to show that I can punch now. And that was because my foundations were better, and Grant installed that into me, slowing things down so I wasn't throwing loads of shots, just picking the right opportunities at the right time and not wasting my energy and giving them the opportunity to hurt me. And then after that, everyone was raving about how much Grant's changed me and that, and made me a different fighter. But the reality was, you didn't really see much. 3 rounds, punch perfect, and I wiped the floor with him, really. No disrespect to Anthony Nelson, great fighter. Which actually, to be fair to him, and I've said this on social media, like, he didn't have to take that fight against me. He was out in the ring for a long time. He didn't have to take it. He chose to, because he thought about the doors it could open, and I really respect that. Had I got him a few years prior, when he was in his prime, he might have been a harder fight. But he had time away from the sport, this and that, and problems at home and whatever, which he had to get over. And I respect that, and I will openly put that out there. So he might not have been the better fighter than he has been in that last fight. So then after that, we went back. We had so many fights fall through. We were trying to get Miflane Maruti for the IBF, but he was entertaining it, and then he got an offer from Japan this last fight, which obviously why he took that fight. It's not no-brainer, and it makes sense to it, especially him being 36 towards the end of his career. He didn't need to. If you can get an extra fight, a bigger payday, the guy's a great fighter who hasn't been beat in 10 years. The only loss he's got is on a cut from the net. So that guy, all credit to him, he can pick and choose who he wants to fight, because he's done it and done all the hard way. He knocked out Casemiro, beat Zlane Tete. He's a real true champion. So we tried to call it, and then that didn't happen. Then Eddie come to me and was like, what about Rosales? I know it's a very tough ask, but what about him? I was like, Eddie, I told you when I was moving that down to flyweight, I will fight any of them champions. So get me that fight. And Rosales tried asking for too much money. Then they had to go back at him again, and then I think they tried last time, and then they got him. They offered him real good money. And I'm blessed that Eddie done that, and I'm really thankful in the support that he's shown me and the belief he's shown me, because he could have dropped me after the Casemiro fight and not cared about me, but he's shown that he can see how I work day in, day out, and how I dedicate my life to this sport, and he believed in me, and I'm really grateful and thankful for that, and giving me that opportunity. And I didn't even know what happened in the negotiations until after the fight and listening to the press conference. So I've got to just say thank you to Eddie for getting me the shot, and yeah, now we're here.
Something that's attracted a lot of attention since the fight is the post-fight celebrations. Obviously, you dedicated the victory to your mum, Terry, and presented the belt to her when she was celebrating in the dressing room afterwards. Just tell us a little bit about that in your mum's story, because obviously that's part of your story.
My mum's been ill now for 4 years. She come my debut fight. She had breast cancer, which her mum had. Her mum died at 57 from it. So she was the same age, 57. She got breast cancer, and when she got breast cancer, she didn't want to go the chemo route. And to be honest, she didn't even want treatment. And me, my brother, and my sister kind of forced her into it. So had she not got treatment, you don't know where she'd be now. She might be walking around today. So, we in our back of our minds, we're like a bit, this could be our fault. Do you know what I mean? But we can't think that. And then
you make the decision you make at the time in the best interest, don't you? No one, benefit of hindsight and all that. But got to trust doctors, haven't you?
Yeah. And then she didn't get chemo, so they hit her with radiotherapy, and she has a birthmark and a cavernoma in her brain stem. So hitting someone with a cavernoma with radiotherapy makes it blow into like a brain tumour, bleed on the brain. So they instead of sending her for like MRI scans and all that, with it all going on, she went for the first radiotherapy treatment. That was fine. She went home. This was after my pro debut, because she wouldn't do it before because she didn't know how it would affect her feeling, and she wanted to be there for my pro debut. So she done that, and then it was Valentine. She had one treatment in early Feb. Then she had the second treatment. I think it was coming up to Valentine's weekend. Then she started feeling all funny, like proper like banging headaches and that. And they rushed. She got herself back to the Royal Marsden Hospital, and then said, something's not right with me, I don't feel right within myself. And they was like, oh no, you're probably just coming down with something, go home, take a paracetamol or whatever, you'll be fine, just go home and see how you feel. So the next day comes, she's got another radiotherapy thing, so they've obviously hit her with the radiotherapy, and the cavernoma's like swelling little by little. So she's gone down for her third treatment, and as her friend's gone to pick her up, she come out her house not feeling right. She'd been saying it all night, my head's banging, I don't feel right, and something's not right with me. And she come down the stairs to get into the car, and it was like she was drunk. She couldn't stand up, and like obviously when the fluid build up in the brain, it messes all your functions and everything up. So they got her in the car, they got her down to the hospital, they got her in there. She was sat in the hospital instead of rushing her to like St George's or rushing her into a scan or something, she sat there for 7 hours. 7 hours in the hospital, and they didn't know what to do with her. I'm in an RM, and then it got to the point where there's a fine line that they had to rush her ambulance over to St George's because they didn't want to it was mad because obviously hospitals are busy and they don't know what it is, so they're gonna try and work a bed, and it was just taking forever. So 7 hours she sat, and they rushed her over to St George's. In St George's, they said, listen, if we don't get her down to do an operation, she's dying. And it was like, then they have to ask us, do you want the operation or not? There's a 50-50 chance of coming back out. It was like, of course, if she's going to die anyway, yeah. And we want our mum here. We're not going to let her lay there and just go. So we done in the family rooms, we had our little one-to-ones walk in. And I walked in, and my mum was laying there. She was confused, but she could talk. She could have a normal kind of touching, and I just went in there. I was like, Mum, listen. I was like, no matter what happens, don't feel bad about this. This is not your fault. This is out of your hands. This is the card you've been dealt. I said, don't beat yourself up, and no matter what happens, I will always love you, and I'm not going to say goodbye because I don't see it as a goodbye. I see we are going to meet again if you go one day, and this ain't the last, but I know you're always going to be with me, and I love you so much. And she just grabbed me and pulled me in close, and kissed me and said, like, Charlie, I love you. Just promise me one thing. I was like, what, Mum? What? And she was like, just don't give up on your dream. Don't let whatever happens to me affect you. Just keep fighting, keep on, and don't, how bad I get, don't let it affect you, because one day you're going to be a world champion. She's known it's been a dream of mine from 11 years of age, you know what I mean? And it's been a massive part of my career. And yeah.
To say that at that moment, that's so selfless.
So selfless, and like, I come out of there and I walked back to the family room just distraught, do you know what I mean? And like, I was just, felt like someone had just pulled a plug out of me, and I had nothing, like, to give, nothing, and I was just like, why has this happened to me? Angry, emotional, I didn't know what emotion to put in, just bawling my eyes out. My sister, yeah, and I just walked in there, and it's like, I was supposed to fight, I think 4 or 5 weeks after I had the fight lined up. It was in Sheffield, it was on the Jojo Dan card, Kell Brook, but there weren't no name of the card yet. But I knew I was fighting, and I was like to my sister, I just looked at her, I was heartbroken. I was like, I don't want to fight, I'm pulling out, I can't do this, I need to stay here with Mum, I need to stay on by her side, like, I'm not going to the gym. And my dad was picking me up and taking me to the gym and that, and I just felt like nothing. And my sister grabbed me and she was just like, Charlie, put all your energies and effort into this. Don't let it affect you. You sitting here is not going to do anything. You need to go and carry on with your life, because you're going to mentally destroy yourself. And I found it hard, and like, for the best part of a week I was in the gym, but I wasn't in the gym. Do you know what I mean? My mind was elsewhere. But when I reality come to it, and I really felt, and the actual, what she said to me come into play, like, and then the card come up and it was named Unbreakable, and I was like, this isn't coincidence. Like, that card says I'm not pulling off. The poster Unbreakable and that. And the funny thing is, now when I look back in hindsight, like, this is all supposed to be a part of the journey. Like, Cal Yafai was fighting on the same card. I met Rosales for the first time on the same card in the lift coming down from, I think he was fighting Cal. Cal's played a massive part in my journey and everything that's going on between us, and I do believe we'll fight in the future. And Rosales, we come down the lift, and one of the matchroom who was working for him at the time was looking after him and introduced me to him, and I shook his hand and shook his uncle's hand, and we respected each other. And he said, one day you two are going to fight, and I just laughed. I was like, yeah, one day. And now look, like, and not only that, it was in Sheffield, and now I'm up Sheffield with Grant, living there, and it's destiny. And with belief and the power of my mind, I've made it come true. And we've had some hard adversities, falls, people not loving me, not cherishing me, fights falling through. A year ago, people thought my career was done. They thought, 8-rounder against Craig Derbyshire. Oh, like, you fought him in your debut, you're over. Oh, you've been kicked out of Adam Boost, people thought. Oh, what, they don't even want you no more. Your career's done. And now look, we're sitting here on a WBC world title, and it just goes to show anything's possible in this life. And no matter how bad and how down you feel at certain times, it's how you come back from it and the adversity you face that makes you be able to achieve your dreams.
Was it harder because obviously you were in and out of hospital, you were going back from, especially once you went to Sheffield, you were going back to London regularly to see your mum? Or did you kind of use boxing as a bit of a distraction and a bit of a respite from what you were going through?
By all means, my biggest thing is I don't get to spend a lot of quality time with my mum. I really don't. And while it was all going on, I really found it mentally challenging, and I wouldn't talk out about it. Like, I would hide it from everyone. Like, everyone's like, how's your mum? Yeah, all right. I wouldn't want to get in a conversation with it. How are you feeling about it? Yeah, I'm all right, I'm good. And bottling all that emotion inside killed me and hurt me over years. And my way to deal with it was like make out it never even happened, like, and just like shy away. And even when I'm with my mum, even to this day, like, sometimes I'm sitting there and I find it hard to speak and get into a proper conversation with her. I'm like, I kiss her, cuddle her and that, but then I really have found it hard with that kind of aspect, because my mum being my mum, I used to be the type of boy, my mum would be sitting on the sofa, I'd be watching a film and she'd like be stroking my hair and I'd just fall asleep. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd go around there in the morning, I'd be running, I'd come home, she'd have my bath run, she'd be making me poached eggs ready to get out of the bath and eat, and then chill with her all day, then go to the gym at night. So it was a very hard way to work out in myself and deal with it. And I struggled loads of times, but I tried to bottle it up, and this time I thought, when it just come out, to be honest, like I was fighting for my mum. I wanted to bring that title back. She was coming the fight, the week of fight. She only got out of hospital 4 days before. She was in hospital for 10 days. The matter of it was a urine infection, which made her go confused, but they thought it was a bleed on the brain again. My sister had to keep that away from me when I was in camp, and when I was sitting there, I think 7 days in, I rang my sister and goes, "Mum, out of hospital yet?" And she was like, no, they're still trying to work it out. And I was like, "Look, Nick, please tell me if it's a bleed in the brain. I'll prepare myself for the worst. I've lived this life and done this so many times now, but I need to know." She was like, "No, honestly, I would tell you if that was the case." And then I got off the phone and I thought, she was lying. I thought in my head, nah, there's 7 days. Why would you in 7 days for a urine infection? Do you know what I mean? And then 4 days before the fight, she rang me and was like, Mum's out. And that was just another spiritual lift, do you know what I mean? And she come to the fight, and it's just been a long time coming, this, and I've never stopped believing, no matter how many people slagged me off, doubted me, said I was no one, says I was, no one cares about you, no one like, do you know what I mean? And I'm here, and I've done it all through hard work, dedication, and power of my mind, because I could have gone one or two ways, especially when I got beat off the Casemiro fight. I could have just swerved boxing and thought, it's not for me. I chose to persevere, I chose to realise and step back and open my eyes at the lessons learned and what I needed. And even now, today, I'm WBC World Champion. These last two weeks of being World Champion has taught me so much in my life already. Made me realise a lot about the people who are around me. I'm lucky I went through that Casemiro fight, because I know what it's like to be nothing. I know what it's like now to be a World Champion, and it's made me the man I am, and I'm aware of things. And I'm not in this to be walking around Mr. Flash Bollocks and thinking I'm the best World Champion. This, like, now I've got a voice. Now I think I'll be able to inspire people. I want to inspire the younger generation coming up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember being that kid in them boxing clubs, in Epsom and Ewell, in Ellsfield, in Repton, in all them in boxing clubs, and like looking up to all the top fighters, and what that give me, and the inspiration and drive that give me when they would give me their time of day. I love to do that, and I want to do good for the sport of boxing. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be this flash one on Instagram, this money, that money. I want to inspire the younger generation. I want to be a voice to someone who, if they're struggling, like Christmas Day, I had someone contact me. His mum died on Christmas Day. Before a few days, I think the night before, he messaged me saying how bad and poorly his mum was, and that what I'd done has inspired him massively. And he's a boxer, and I rang him on Christmas Day, and I tried to be. His mum's died, you know what I mean, and I felt so bad and sorry for him, but the least I could do was speak to him and try and have and console him a little bit. And I got a message from his mate the other day saying, "Do you know what? Although all this bad thing was coming, it was a long time coming with him. Do you know what? You made his Christmas Day." And that feeling, that positivity coming back to me, I'm a big believer in positivity, and what you give out, you get back in so many ways than one. So it's about doing the right thing with what I've earned, not the wrong things.
Before we move back to boxing, just tell us a bit about how your mum is now. You said she came out of hospital not long before the fight. What's her kind of general day-to-day condition like now?
My mum's been brain damaged from all the strokes and that, and she's never going to be the woman she was before this all happened to her. But the only thing we care about now is her quality of life. As long as she's smiling, as long as them big blue eyes are bright, that's all we care about. And she hasn't got a very good quality of life, but if we can make it just that little bit more, that little bit enjoyment, that little bit happy, like seeing her face when I give that to her, I could see the fulfillment and the joy, and
it comes across in the pictures as well. She looks absolutely delighted.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. Each day, I don't know how long my mum's got left. Touch wood, it's a long time. But every day is just about making her that little bit happier, that little bit more enjoyment and fulfillment she can get. Me and my sister and her, we went out for a carvery yesterday, just a Toby carvery, nothing fancy, nothing posh, just relaxed in Croydon, and went for a nice meal and spent some quality time, and that's what it's about.
So getting back to boxing now, you mentioned Cal Yafai earlier. You've mentioned that you want to unify. You don't just want to stick to one world title. You're still obviously a very young man. Is Yafai the main target, or is it any of the champions? Because of the history, I'm thinking.
Listen, I want the Cal Yafai fight. Of course I want it. It's a history thing. I know from business side of things as well, it does generate the most money. We're both British world champions. We've had a lot of history growing up. Sky Sports would love that. Head-to-heads, head-to-heads, the behind the gloves, all of that stuff. And to be a British fighter, to be 2 elite fighters at flyweight, that doesn't very come around often. We could change the perspective of British people on a flyweight division, and that's special. That changes boxing for the future. That changes, like I said, it changes all the younger kids who ain't big time, big men. That gives them and thinks, oh, I want to be like them two. I want to be in that big super fight that them two have been in. And it would be one that would go down for a British Classic. It's not like we're 2 British fighters where one's leagues above and one. Let's be real, we're both elite fighters, come through the GB team, gone away, won international medals everywhere, come all through our professional careers, and both world champions. So, for me, if he's made it pretty clear he doesn't want it, and he's brushed me aside many times, I just see it as the longer he leaves it, the harder it's going to get for him. If we go back on our last 2 performances, you can only see, he's even said Rosales is the hardest fighter he's fought in his career. He said that on an interview. So he can't look at me like I'm no one now. And if it happens, it happens. I've got my own careers, my own plans and everything. It's a fight I do 100% want, and I do 100% it will believe. It will materialise in the future, and I believe I've just got the beating of him. So the longer he leaves it, the harder it's going to get. So, but it doesn't matter how long he leaves it. I think I've overstepped that mark now.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you the very best of luck in nailing down that fight and going on to have a glorious reign.
2019 is going to be a big year, and I just want to say thank you for every one of you who sent me a message. I haven't been able to get back to all of you. I'm that kind of fighter who sits there for hours on end trying to get back to everyone, but reality is you miss a lot of it, and it goes and it's down the feed and you can't find it again. But I just want to say thank you, thanks so much. All the positivity, it really does spur me and drive me on even more, and yeah, keep with the positivity, and anything's possible.
Brilliant. Thanks, Charlie.